one and all to another premium spirits review here at the K.O.E. Nation. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, joined by my indomitable broadcast partner in inebriation, the one, the only,
Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe.
We are getting into a Breckenridge versus, if you will. We are going to try their... There we go. We'll just do a little presto change.
Swapperoo.
And what we are comparing here this evening, folks, is Breckenridge Bourbon versus Breckenridge Whiskey Port Cask Finished. I suspect the mash bill for their whiskey is very close to their bourbon. But if you want to age something in a cask for an extended amount of time, you can't call it bourbon, because bourbon has to be aged in a fresh oak cask. So you can finish it for a short amount of time, but you can't extended age it. So
manipulating the taste comes at a consequence.
Yes. So in our Glencairn glass here, we have the classic Breckenridge Bourbon. It was our introduction to Breckenridge, if you will, and they've got just a great tagline. It's a great sales pitch. Their water comes from snowmelt from the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, so, it's a selling point. It's a good one.
Yeah, and years ago, I went with my family to Breckenridge. I was 14. We wanted to see if skiing was a thing we even liked. Turns out skiing is not a thing we liked. Anybody?
Only one way to know.
Yeah, it turns out those ski boots are like torture devices. But lovely place. It was a
good whiskey.
Yeah, they make good whiskey though. So we're going to do a versus to see which one is the Grand Slam champion of the Breckenridge line from the two we've got here.
This being the port, obviously.
Yep. So let's nose the bourbon first, because it's their base. That great familiar bourbon smell, but with a crispness.
It doesn't have the
water actually.
The
water source helps.
It doesn't have the sweetness of a standard bourbon smell, but you do smell a familiar bourbon.
Yeah, there's the woody vanilla.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not a lot of sweet.
It's not a lot of sweet on the nose, no. But yes, very.
I'm trying to find a sweet, and it's just not there.
No, it's not there on the nose.
Well, let's see how it hits the palate, sir.
Very clean.
Yeah.
But you get that woodness. You get that pine on the back end.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's very smooth, and it finishes very clean.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot of sweetness on the palate either. It's very it's a very nice bourbon, but you're not going to get that burnt sugar you might with some lower end bourbons. This is a higher end. I mean, not upper echelon higher end, but comparatively, this is a much higher end style of bourbon.
Yeah, this is one you could cocktail with. On the rocks, I feel like it would take all the bite out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't know that you'd want to.
And also, again, I don't think it's just because of the tagline. It comes from snowmelt from the Rockies. But just when you nose it, and also when you taste it, the water is just a lot cleaner than some, like, because there are, I'm not going to name any names, but there is a vodka company where it's vodka. The water actually comes from New York municipal tap water, and they pride themselves on this. And so I'm not going to name any names though. So this is snowmelt, and you can just there's a crispness, and water is the backbone of any whiskey. So if your water source is clean, your whiskey's going to be clean. So,
yeah, and it is very clean. You can tell this is distilled nicely. It's very clean. The process is very pure.
The word whiskey actually comes from the Gaelic Uskabea Iski, and the Iski over enough time got transmogrified into whiskey. That was kind of the Anglicanizing of the Iski word, it became whiskey over enough time. But Uskabea Iski was actually the Gaelic word for the water of life.
You talk like a guy that hasn't had enough whiskey. On that note,
Hey, he's got a point there. So let's try.
Compare to the port.
Yeah, I was able to pronounce that way too clearly.
Clearly. This nose is very
winey sweetness.
Oh, it's just a burgundy colored wine is what you think of when you nose this.
Yes, like you imagine just a very classic.
Yeah, you
European
imagine a dessert wine or a dinner wine being presented at a high-scale restaurant when you nose this.
So it's got all that vanilla. It's got all of that woodiness.
This reminds...
It's got the cleanness of the water, and then it adds the sweetness.
This reminds you of sitting down at a fancy restaurant about to eat a nice big steak, and this having a wine poured to pair with it. That's what that smells like.
This would be,
and it does. It tastes like. I hate to make the comparison, but yeah, right, raw meat with a nice dinner wine.
Like this one would, just as
Very
is,
nice.
without the wine comparison. Because yes, this does remind you of a wine that you would be drinking with a nice fatty steak.
Yeah.
This, as is, would be an excellent after dinner drink.
I think
Like
it is.
I think after a big barbecue.
Yeah.
Or after you had a big, steak dinner, or
It wouldn't offend your palate in any way.
Or even if you went crazy and like made some kind of fish dish. I know you're not really too into that, but so long as it was prepared properly to the point where you take the fishiness out of it.
I just think this would go well with any kind of meat in
Yeah.
general.
Yep.
It's got that.
Would you cook with this?
I think you absolutely could cook with this. I think this has many qualities that would be ideal for cooking.
Now this is
I would
me if I'm
definitely
wrong
use
here.
this. Maybe even like an injection into some chicken.
meat. I would use this with meat. I would use this with vegetables. If I were gonna be
Okay.
pan sauteing vegetables,
Yeah, okay.
I'd put just a little bit of this in there.
Okay.
I would save this back for the meat. So Breckenridge, not only do you make some great sipping whiskeys, some great on the rocks whiskeys, you make some excellent cooking whiskeys. Like Gaelic Steaks is a great recipe that I like.
Yeah.
And I expanded that to other whiskeys because Gaelic Steaks, you have to use Irish whiskeys to make it Gaelic Steaks. But I expanded it to all these different whiskeys, and I think these two would really shine in that particular... Oh, man. So this is a really tough question because this is a great, clean bourbon. Compare this to some Tennessee whiskeys, which are basically bourbon.
Our bourbon.
Plus charcoal. This is incredibly clean compared to those. Then the Portwood, batch 5. I'm sure batch 1 through 4 were amazing.
It's a tough one. I mean, you're not comparing apples to apples here. You're comparing like apples to pears. They're in the same family, but you're getting two different consistencies, and they're both very nice on their own.
I'll put it to you this way. Here's the easiest way to determine which one will be the Grand Slam champion. So,
Okay.
Tony, let's say you and I have ourselves one hell of an evening. We discuss life and truth and all there is, and we solve all the world's problems tonight. But in doing so, we empty both of these bottles down to its very last drop.
That would happen.
Now, coming up, if those in the audience, many of us have solved all the world's problems over a bottle or two of fine, fine liquor. So,
On a consistent basis.
yeah, easily. So, both these bottles are empty at the same time. You are without Breckenridge Bourbon or Breckenridge Port. And you go to the store where we picked these both up.
Which, I mean...
And you
Yeah.
find them both. And you only have money enough for one. Which one do you buy? Do you go with the Breckenridge Bourbon, or do you go with the port? Tough decision. I know, this is not easy.
I'll answer it this way. There are a few other bottles of bourbon I want to get into before I would commit to purchasing another bottle of this. But I really like this bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a bit more specific for the occasion. It's a good sipper for pretty much any night, but you're not going to be able to share that bottle with just anybody. Not everybody is going to appreciate it. So this would be a good one to sit on the shelf. This is going to be one you're going to be able to invite anybody to drink, comparatively. Man, it's tough, but I think I would probably go... And I think they're both about the same price range. I think I would probably go with this one.
The bourbon.
I think I would.
Now, how many bottles of this? Because we've gone through one bottle of this at my house. Is this the first bottle from Texas?
Yes.
Okay, so we've gone through a bottle and a half of this. It was Just go ahead and close that. I already snapped my fingers.
It's still going.
I know. Just close that. So I want to be able to see what I'm doing. All right. Or what was the last word I said?
Texas.
So this amazing bourbon, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's a great bourbon. This one is... Damn it, I can't remember what the fuck I was saying. You got some editing to do. Sorry. Okay, so you just selected this one.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just cut from there.
Okay.
So Tony, you select this one.
I think I would go with this one.
That, and like I said, we've gone through a bottle of it at my house. You've gone through a half bottle here, so we've gone through a bottle and a half of this. It's been tremendously popular with everybody that I've had try it. They really like it. It's clean. It's smooth. God, I hate using that word. It's one of the most abused words in whiskey, smooth.
When it's smooth, it's smooth.
But again, for me, I'm such a specific taste guy. You know that. I would probably opt to keep a bottle of Breckenridge Port on hand.
I mean, I understand that with your love of wines and the uniqueness of it, and you've got plenty of other solo bourbons without a gimmick. I can understand why you would want one.
Yeah, I've got plenty of bourbons that are just good bourbons as is, and this is a good one. And I know my indomitable broadcast partner in inebriation is probably going to have a bottle on hand in the future, so I'll probably be looking for more of the Breckenridge finished expressions. I'm wondering if they're going to venture some other... Oh.
I want to say, I think they have is it a Madeira?
Either Madeira or Cabernet, maybe.
Yeah.
One of those other...
They have another.
It's been a while since I've looked. So.
They have another.
Well, keep your eyes on this space, and we will decide if we can find a bottle. We will add it to the Versus series. But as of this moment, Tony and I are locked in a tie over which whiskey is the king of Breckenridge. Yep, that was inevitable. The blend master over here. I mean, like, Richard Patterson's got nothing on you, T.
I mean, he's all right. He'll get there.
He'll get there. He reminds you of a younger version of yourself. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Oh, man. Yeah, so how's the blend?
Very spicy.
I bet.
Very spicy. You lose a lot of that port, but it opens up some very not sweet spices, but very just fiery spices.
Yeah, after enjoying this port for a little while, the spiciness in the bourbon does come out a little more.
And together, it's really opened up. It's actually pretty good though, honestly. That's not a bad blend. If you like a spicy finish, that's very nice.
I do suspect a lot
It's
of their
smooth.
stuff from the same distillery would blend well.
Yeah, I absolutely. It's still very smooth, just a little extra spicy. Not bad at all.
So, we are at an impasse here, Tony G.
Fair enough.
So, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, this has been our face-off of Breckenridge Bourbon and Breckenridge Port Finished Whiskey. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner in inebriation, the one, the only,
the blend master, Tony fucking G.
Catch you later, folks.